Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video I wanted to give a update, or I guess a slight update, to my Katsu deck tech for you all, going into kind of, the final era of the season before we go into Dynasty. Overall, Katsu isn't like in the best spot in the meta, obviously. I think anyone watching this, unless you're a brand new player, knows that. He's, I would say, maybe like the fourth best aggro deck in the format. However, I do think Katsu is a deck right now, if you're not playing Oldheim, is a deck right now that you can really swing everything in your favor if you know the deck really well, you know how it plays, and you know how to efficiently block. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. Overall, the deck, the main purpose of the deck is to be as efficient as possible, have really tight ratios so you never hardly ever have a dead hand. And then when you do have that dead hand, you have enough 3 blocks in the deck and enough kind of flexibility in the deck in order to, be able to keep yourself in the game. I've been playing this list on Talishar, and I'd say I have like a 60% win rate. Basically, if I don't play Oldheim, I'm in every single game. I think my 2 major losses, like most of my losses, have been to Briar. I think I'm like 1-3 against Briar, which Briar's hard. But 2 of those games were 1 life to 0 and 3 life to 0, so like super close games. The benefit for Katsu, again, there's 2 things. One is knowing the deck and understanding its play patterns, but also understanding how to be efficient with the deck really swings games into your favor. Like, I've played multitude of decks even back in the PQ season when I was playing like Ice Lexies and stuff, where I technically shouldn't be winning the games I'm winning, but because I understand the deck better, it just does better. And then the second thing that's really good about this deck is its flexibility. Katsu does a little bit better than Fi does. He really just does when it comes to like blocking with 1 or 2 cards from hand if you need to in a pinch and still being able to play out a decent turn. And then the other element of this, and we'll talk about this more in the deck, is whereas Fi and like Briar and all them are just sheer damage with some minor on hit effects, Katsu can utilize a couple different attacks very, very effectively. And he forces more interaction and more blocks, because like if I throw a double strike down for 1, if I throw a double strike down with Fi, it's just 1 damage. Really doesn't do much. If I throw a double strike down for 1 in Katsu, you possibly could, you take that 1 damage, but I could Katsu trigger and then go into something else. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, we'll get right into the deck. If you enjoy content like this, and you want to get a part of the discussion, please join the Discord in the description down below. We talk about this stuff all the time. It's really fun. Whether you're a Ninja player or not, definitely join and let us know what you think. But yeah, we're playing Katsu here. I'm gonna go over the equipment first. Pretty standard, right? We have the 2 harmonized Kadachis. Nothing's gonna change there. Mask of Momentum is pretty obvious. I do not run Mask of Pouncing Links in the sideboard. It's just not needed. It's just it's not like Fi. You're not going to use that. Tunic is in the main board, obviously, in most matchups. Then you have Breaking Scales and Snapdragon Scalers, so it's a Snaps build, nothing crazy. And then for the equipment for sideboarding, we have 3 pieces of equipment here. We have a Tiger Stripe Shuko for the Guardian matchups, as well as, well, it was Prism, not anymore, just Guardian matchups. I can't think of another. I like to keep Breaking Skills in against Briar because I want to force those bad blocks. Really, this is just for Guardian so far in my testing with playing it. And then we have 2 AB. We have Tide Flippers and Null Rune. Null Rune Robe only comes in against Icelander and Kano, whereas Tide Flippers will come in against Viscerai. It comes in against Briar. I've been going back and forth between Snaps and Tide Flippers against Briar because part of me wants to have the ability to snap like a Snatch or something like that. You just can't do it, which really sucks. And like, you sacrifice a little bit of gas in the Briar matchup to have this 1 AB, but in a pinch, like being able to block 1 Rosetta or even block a Sonata Arcanix trigger is really nice. So I'm still going back and forth right between that. Right now, the mainstay that you use Tide Flippers in is the Wizard matchups, and then Viscerai is a big one as well. So there's that. But yeah, nothing crazy when it comes to equipment. I mean, Katsu's equipment's been pretty standard unless you do a Breeze Rider Boots build for quite some time. So there's that. So we'll get into a couple portions of the deck. Anyone who's watched the deck tech for me, you'll notice some of these cards are similar. It's very minute changes. Hopefully I can try to remember the exact minute changes I've made since the last time I did a Katsu deck tech. But one thing that hasn't changed to me, or I've gone back and forth, are the non-attack actions. Or not non-attack actions, cards that are not attacks. In my opinion, in Katsu, you cannot have more than 12. Ever. That's the most you should ever have in a deck, period, no matter what you're running. In the main board, I'm running 3 even bigger than that. I used to run 5. Some people run more. I think 3 is enough. You just don't want to brick your hand. There's too many devastating on hits in this game right now, and having more than 3 of these can prone you to bricking, especially with your blues, and it just, I don't like it. Running 3 Ancestral Empowerments, these are really good for obvious reasons, but also really good because they're a 3 block, and it just can really help you out in a pinch. And then 3 Razor Reflexes. So I'm running 9 cards that are not attacks in the main board, and then the sideboard we have a Minnowism, obviously, and we'll get to that in a minute. But overall, these are your cards that are not attacks. Like I said, I don't know what anyone's build is, but I don't care if you're mid-range, control, or aggro. In my opinion, you shouldn't have more than 12. If you're doing that, then you're just playing the hero inefficiently, in my opinion. The second part I'll talk about is the combo lines. The only combo lines I have are Leg Tap and Surging Strike. All the other combo lines are just too cute, and they don't work well in this type of meta where you have to be applying pressure every single turn, and you cannot afford to take a turn off against any matchup. Even like the slower ones, you want to keep applying pressure. So I have the Leg Tap line in here. I've gone 3 Leg Tap, 2 Rising Knee Thrust, 1 Hurricane Technique. I took out the Blackout Kick. It just, again, it's a red 1 cost, and that can be bad in a pinch against certain heroes. And then we have the Surging Strike. I have 3 Surging Strikes, red, 3 Whelming Gust Waves, 2 Against You releases, and then obviously Lord of Wind, which will be my blue section. These are the only combo lines I run. I've messed with other combo lines. If anyone's watched my deck text before, you know that I've done it, but with this, you just want consistency, and you want to be able to search this all the time. The only thing I would think about doing is maybe taking out 1 Salt Wound, because I run 2 right now, and maybe putting in 1 more Rise and Knee Thrust, because the Leg Tap line is just so freaking good. The reason I like the Leg Tap line so much is you can do so many things with it, right? You can Kodachi for 1 and then Leg Tap for 4. They're having a block of 4 power attack, especially if I have a Rise and Knee Thrust in arsenal or in hand, and then they block it out to prevent possible mass trigger. Then you come in Rising for 5, or you Kodachi, they block the second Kodachi, then you Leg Tap for 4, pretty much guaranteed to hit unless it's just like a super tank Oldheim or Bravo or something. This I've found after playing Katsu hundreds of games, quite literally with Katsu now, the Leg Tap line, in my opinion, is the most consistent line Katsu has. It's not close, because the sequencing you can do with this line to get it off consistently is pretty substantial. So definitely would run this. I would never run a Katsu deck without Leg Tap, personally. That's just the way I look at it. So there's that. The Surging Strike line's the obvious one. I did play around with having 2 yellow Surging Strikes in at the beginning of the season. I've now just gone down to these. A 2 for 4 cost is not good in this meta that has a lot of taxing effects, a lot of discard effects and things of that nature. So I just went down to the reds, and I'm trying to deal with as much damage as possible. So there's that. So that's the combo lines. Then we get into the good generic attacks here. We're running 3 red 100 wins, just really good, obviously. This is a good filler card. If I have like a Whelming in hand or a Rising or a Hurricane Technique or something that's going to like stop my turn and not give me go again, and I want to be able to threaten Mask, maybe they blocked out the second link and I can go Kodachi attack something else, but that second attack is not a go again, I can Katsu trigger hopefully and then go get 100 wins. 100 wins is a really good search target just to extend your turns. Snatch, obviously, we want to create as much interaction as possible, and Snatch almost always forces blocks, and when you combine this with even bigger than that, a Razor, it's just ridiculous. And then Double Strike. Double Strike is honestly a hidden MVP in the deck. It really is, because like I said, with Katsu, if I Double Strike you for 1 at the start of my turn and you don't block this, I just have a free Katsu trigger, and it's so annoying for the opponent because they know it's going to come again. This is basically a Kodachi that lets you Katsu trigger for free twice. So it's just so good to enable turns, right? Like if I have a Leg Tap in hand, and and I don't want to Kodachi Leg Tap or Kodachi Leg Tap, or like possibly let them block out my Leg Tap, I just Double Strike and then go get my Rise and Knee Thrust and then play out my turn. Like, it's just so good to enable Katsu triggers. I think Double Strike has to be in any aggro Katsu deck because it just enables all of your combo lines no matter which ones you're running. It's really good. E-Strike is in the list. It's just a good 3-block, and its versatility off even bigger than that, off a Razor, off a 2-card hand, attacking for 7, things of that nature. Giving it go again if you want to cycle like a bad card out of hand, stuff like that. Just really good. And it's not that it's like an A+ in the deck at this point in Ninja, but what it is it allows you to, it allows you to have flexibility in your lines. And if you really want to get super aggressive, you can draw a card and then snap it and different stuff like that. So overall, I think it's just a really good card to have and just really solid. And then we have another kind of hidden MVP in the deck, and that's Torn a Tempo. I think this card is actually stupid. The fact that the more I play this card, the more I like it. It's a 1-for-5 conditional go again. On hit, it gets go again. The reason this card is so good, this is one of the best chain 3 or chain 4 attacks to attack with. When I'll have hands, I'm just going to throw out a random hand. It's not amazing. It's just a random hand. If I have like a blue, a leg tap, or Torn a Tempo, and a Whelming Gust Wave, right? My initial thought is to try to go get Rise and Knee Thrust somehow. So Kadachi, you have a 2 and counter 2. Kadachi, leg tap. They block out the leg tap, preventing me from going to get Rise and Knee Thrust. Then you play Torn a Tempo. They probably had to block with a card and equipment, or maybe 2 cards. Then you play Torn a Tempo for 5, right? And it's just the ultimate punish. And then maybe then that hits, and then you go get like 100 wins or something that maybe is potentially get mastered. I don't know, right? What I'm trying to say is, without thinking of a line off the top of my head, this is a turn extender, and it really punishes your opponent, because if you play like a leg tap or 100 wins or a double strike or whatever, right? And they can tell that you're trying to get a Katsu trigger off just by your sequencing. And they block it out. Then you come in with a Torn a Tempo for 5. They just blocked out your Katsu trigger, or like your card, in order to prevent Katsu triggers. So now they're going to have to block this out too. This probably is free damage. It's similar to like the Rise from the Ashes play that I always talk about with Fi, where like they're just not going to block it. If you play this on Chain Link 3 or 4, they're probably just not going to block it unless they want to like dump their whole hand, which some people do. But I really like it. Same thing with Soul Beat Strike. I'm down to 2 of them, not 3, just because there's a lot of tanky decks in the format right now. But a 4 attack that forces you to block it, or it gets go again. It's also a 3 block. It's just really good for the deck. And then finally I have Flusterfist. I put Flusterfist in the deck because it's 2 more 3 blocks, right? You can search for it, and it attacks for 4. It's really good in-game card, right? Like if I want to go get a breakpoint card that I'm going to play at the very end of the turn to push over that last 1 or 2 points of damage in order to win, Flusterfist is really good for that. And then when you look at this part of the deck, right, like you see a bunch of 3 blocks, right? Like we have 3, 6, 6, 8, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 3 blocks in the deck right here. And then you have Ancestral over here, so you're at 21 3 blocks, which again, I'm not playing a mid-range game plan, but it gives you more flexibility in a pinch when you need it. And then finally I have 2 Salt the Wounds. It's just a 3 block that can come in. I've had it come in for 7 even with Katsu, which is really nice. Especially if you draw into it off a mask, it's just fantastic. It can pitch for Kadachis. It can do all types of things. So there's that. Soul Beat, and then my blues. I have 16 blues. Soul Beat Strike. All my blues. Just know all my blues are 2 power blues that don't whiff on EBT on even bigger than that, and they block for 3. That's all I care about. Everything else is whatever. So we have Soul Beat Strike, one of the best, if not the best blue in Katsu in my opinion. Fine Center, Winds of Eternity, which does couple with 100 wins, which is nice. Lord of Wind for obviously the Surging Strike line. And then we have Whelming Gust Wave again, obviously for the Surging Strike line, just to try to get a few more hits. And then we have 1 cheeky Lunging Press, obviously, as is tradition with this. But I have won games off of this. I had a game actually yesterday where I had this in Arsenal, and I played a Whelming Gust Wave when they were on 3. Didn't have go again for 3 with Breaking Scales active. So they blocked for 4. Thinking like just to try to compensate for breaking skills when they were at 1 life, and I breaking skills in a lunging press and won the game. So it's definitely really good for that. But yeah, this is the deck. It's nothing fancy. There's no crazy tech. There's no nothing. The Oldheim matchup is still abysmal. If you play Oldheim, just concede and go get a sandwich or something. You're not going to beat that hero unless they misplay. I think I've gotten some Oldheims down to like 5 or 6. But the problem with Oldheim right now is they're playing like this more proactive game plan because they kind of have to because of Iyslander and Dromai and stuff like that. But they also are stacking ice cards as blues, and they'll just ice react you all the time. Every time you think you're about to get mask or you're threatening mask, they'll just block with one card to stop it, and then they'll react with an ice card and make you put your top card in your deck, and you just almost never get a full turn off, and it's very frustrating. So Oldhim matchup's kind of crappy. The Iyslander matchup's good. I'm not saying I've sat here and played like, you know, national level winner Icelanders, but I have played some good ones, I feel like, and for me the matchup's been positive. It's definitely in a positive win-loss from the matches I've played. Dromai, this just dunks on. You beat Dromai. I've even played like super tank Dromais with like sand covers and fates and sinks and oasis and all that stuff, and they still lost. They can't do it. It's just too bad of a matchup. So you're really good. So like in my opinion, the meta right now is Guardian, Dromai, Iyslander, and then the aggro decks, right? And right now, in my opinion, it's really good to Dromai. You lose an Oldhim, so like that's your 50-50 right there. And then Iyslander, I think it's like favored a little bit personally if you're playing the deck correctly. Unless the Iyslander is just amazing. And then I would say Briar, obviously it's not favored into, but you can win it. It's not like it's unwinnable like Oldhim. I've, you know, been 50-50 into Vis and Fi. Like Fi to me, it's really hard. It's really who draws the dead hand first loses. But what I've noticed with Fi is like he can't value block like I can. So if the Fi doesn't hit their Art of Wars or like their big pop off turn quickly, similar to Briar, I've beaten Fi more than Fi's beat me. And I've played Fi a lot this season. I can tell you right now that Katsu is more efficient. And if they both players are just getting good hands but not like pop off hands, I think Katsu wins because he's more efficient. But that's just my opinion. Fi is forced to block more in certain situations, but that's the main board of the deck. So it's a 60 card core. So that's just how I build aggro decks. I start at 60 and then side in, side out things as needed. But that's where the gist of the deck's coming. Again, nothing fancy, nothing crazy. It's just really good, efficient gameplay, and it works. If you're not playing Oldhim, even against Bravo, I feel really good. Not really good, but I feel better than I did with Fi because it's more of a flexible deck that can do more things with 2 and 3 card hands. So there's that. And then the sideboard, we had the 3 equipment pieces, but we have 3 erase face. I do not have Command and Conquer in the deck. I just don't. I think a lot of 2 out of 3 of the heroes can play around their arsenal almost instantly in Iyslander and Oldhim. Briars and Viserais even are using Crown of Province to manipulate their arsenal. It's just not as useful. It is a 3 block, and it's a more powerful card in a nutshell, in a vacuum, than Erase Face, 100%. But Erase Face affects more of the heroes right now that are at the top. It affects Dromai, it affects Oldhim, it really affects Iyslander when she's trying to do some stuff. It hurts Lexi, it hurts Briar, it just kills Viserai's turn. Even hurts Fi a little bit. So all I have to say, like, I think it's a better card into the meta right now, and that's why I have it. But I may go back to Command and Conquerors, who knows. For 3D reacts, I have Flick Flack. It was between Flick Flack and Sinks, and I think Flick Flack's just better into a majority of the meta right now, especially the ones I care about. Blocking a lot, which is Briar. Not a lot, but blocking efficiently, which is Briar. Having those Flick Flacks, being able to block, her first Channel Mount heroic attack for 7 with 1 card and Flick Flack, and then maybe another card for 5, right? You block with 3 cards for 15 is really nice. Really efficient. And then we have the Belittle package for Iyslander. You just kind of have it. I don't have Belittle on the main board because I want to be able to do more with less. I don't want to discard Minnowism for Katsu trigger. So I just run the Iyslander matchup. And then I have 1 Remembrance. And for the Iyslander, I put it even in sometimes as a 1 of in Dromai if I know it's going to be a fatigue Dromai. And I'll put it in against Oldhim as well. So even though I know I'm probably going to lose that matchup, you got to try your best. But this is the sideboard package. Yeah, overall, it's really solid list. I'm not saying Katsu is something you should take to Nationals. I really wouldn't take Katsu to Nationals unless you're just trying to have fun and you enjoy the hero. However, I think that this is the most solid form of Katsu personally. I would stand by that. And you know, as time goes on, if Oldhim ever decides to leave the format, then I think Katsu is going to be really viable, personally, or unless there's another hero like Oldhim, which there probably will be. But yeah, overall, this is the deck. I've been really enjoying it. Like I said, on Talishar now, not Fab Online, but on Talishar in the last week, I think I have like a 60-70% win rate with this deck. Basically, if I don't play Oldhim, I feel really good. So I've been testing a lot, and we'll see kind of how it goes from here. But Katsu fanatically, I just like it more than Fi. It's more fun. More fun to play. The play lines are better and more fluid in my opinion. Fi is just kind of like solitaire personally, which can get a little bit annoying. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Join the Discord down below if you want to continue in the conversation. Let me know what you think of the deck. If you like it, hate it, indifferent. Definitely love to hear y'all's thoughts, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.